Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean. Welcome to Book Club Corner, where every Wednesday we chat with stakeholders from the publishing industry, from local authors right up to publishers and, booksellers. We talk to you all and we connect you with local writers, publishers, and connect you with your next favorite book. So thank you for being here with us today. Today we have with us a very special author, and her name is Christine Salandy. And Miss Salandy is the author of Three Ships Come Sailing Home. She's the founder and managing director. And could we have her flyer up again? Thank you very much. So Ms. Salandy is the author of Three Ships Come Sailing Home. She is the founder and managing director of Chateau Savant. I hope I said that. It's such a lovely name. And she is the former general manager of L'Orchid Boutique Hotel, the former marketing manager of the Crown Plaza Hotel, and the former marketing and sales manager at TTHTI. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you very much, Jewel.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
And it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Christine, your book is something that I found quite intriguing. A lot of it is because, and I'm not giving away any spoilers today, because of the history that's woven into your story about the Caribbean. But before we get into that, we want to do our usual wine tasting here at Book Club Corner. When we meet at Book Club Corner, we have to have a little drink, a little eats, a little entertainment. So we have for you today some rosé wine from Jofield Wines. Thank you so much, Salron. And we do the 5 S's of wine tasting. Cheers to you.
Yes.
And we have to do the eyeball. When you do the cheers, you have to look into the eyeball. Cheers.
Cheers.
We won't divulge. Those who know why. Right? But we do the 5 S's of wine tasting, where we see the wine, we look at the clarity of the wine, the color of the wine. And this is such a pretty peach, right?
Yes, lovely. Very
they
nice.
Outdid themselves. This kind of light pink peach color. It's beautiful. And then we swirl and smell. We swirl to look at the legs, as if viscosity and the sugar content of the wine. I'm glad this wine doesn't look like it's very, very sweet. And then we sniff.
Very nice.
Yeah, you're getting a kind of floral bouquet.
Flowery, yes, that kind of.
But not that flowery. I'm smelling some spices in here. And then we sip and we savor.
Very nice.
This rosé is a medium wine. It's not sweet. It's not dry.
Dry, yes.
This would be great for those who have some experience drinking wines. When you now start off, those sweet wines are delicious. Right? And as you get accustomed to drinking and your palate changes, you kind of more move to a medium dry. I love a dry wine, but I also adore a medium wine.
This tastes is very good.
This is a nice wine for a meal.
I think so. I can see it accompanying a nice main. Yes.
Yeah, a nice main course. Some meats. I would have this with some pork.
Very nice. And like it's not sweet. It's not, it's this medium.
Nice medium. Thank you so much, Salron. And we thank I for Design. I know you're on the road, you're traveling, you're doing your thing. I for Design, my good friend Neve, thank you so much for all the support. Both you, for Neve at I for Design, and Salron at Jofield Wines, and even Kena G, who is right across from the mall, Port Mall. You all have been such good supports to Book Club Corner, and we thank you so much for your support. Get your rosé wine from Jofield Wines. Get your decorations and centerpieces from I for Design, and check out K-Energy across from the Port Mall for your healthy drinks. There's good sugars in that cane juice. Listen, guys, this book, 3 Ships Come Sailing Home. The color of it, the palette is just relaxing, and so was the read. Listen, the read was not relaxing to the point where it had you sleeping, because as I was telling Christine, fast moving, fast pace this book was. I really enjoyed this book, and I wouldn't like to say I enjoyed it, I think, more than previous books, because we're getting into book reviews. So we're doing a lot of book reviews on Goodreads, and we did a book review for this book on Goodreads, and we'll share it with you on our Facebook page. But what I loved about the book was how in between your life, in between your families living, moving, there was a richness in the history of the Caribbean, and we're gonna get into that. We don't want you to miss a thing. Listen, guys, get a drink, get a snack, get comfy, and come back. We are going to pay some bills, and we'll be back in a few minutes chatting with Christine Salandy about her book, 3 Ships Come Sailing Home. We'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back to Book Club Corner, where everyone here in beautiful Scarborough, Tobago, we chat with local authors and stakeholders of the publishing industry. We have with us today the amazing Christine Salandy, author of the book 3 Ships Come Sailing Home, and we're chatting with her about her book. Let me tell you, the first few pages of who is Mama Puss?
Mama Puss was our cat from Dominica, and it was the family cat. And of course, when we were traveling, moving to St. Kitts, we could not leave Mama Puss behind. She was part of the family, so she had to go.
Yeah.
But in those days,
stowaway.
Yes, a stowaway. In those days, you couldn't, travel with an animal on the boat.
Yes.
So my elder sister Marguerite decided to put the cat in a basket, had covered
down,
incognito, and move around the boat with the cat, feeding the cat as best as she could until we arrived at our destination in St. Kitts.
Let me tell you, Caribbean people are famous for smuggling things, huh? We smuggle seasoning, shadow benny. I remember as a student, my mother would load me up with seasoning. I used to put the shadow benny in plastic, because you don't want them smell it. You don't want them think it's weed, right? And chuck it down the leg of my jeans, roll it up tight. Wow. I had another friend, she took a little turtle. When school is finished, she want to tote everything home. You don't want to leave anything. So we were leaving. She was going back home to Trinidad, and she had one turtle in this pocket and one turtle in that pocket with a piece of lettuce down.
Amazing.
A pocket.
Amazing.
She there on Caribbean Airlines. And I'm selling you out, but the authorities are looking for you, so don't frighten her. Okay, lovey? Don't come for me. But your book has so many gems about how we as Caribbean people really, really are. And I loved your story. Tell us about why you decided to write a memoir. What was your intent? What did you want people to get out of it?
Certainly. When in my present position and here in Trinidad, I kind of reminisce about the past, my journey from Dominica, my homeland, to St. Kitts, back to Dominica and to Trinidad. And I began to see a connectivity with all my various experiences and how they connected to bring me to this point. And I began to realize the value of these experiences. They were like gold nuggets. They were given to me to empower me, to teach me, to prune me, to prepare me for my present vocation. And I decided that I would like to go back and reminisce about all these different experiences And for people to read about these experiences and realize that these experiences were valuable experiences to bring me to this point, to bring me to my destiny, to sort of, shape me, to bring me to my destiny. And I tend to find, Jewel, that many times, we have experiences in our life and we do not value them. We undervalue our experiences. At times you hear people say, if I could do this all over again, I would do this. But that wasn't meant for us. We were this is what was planned for us. These experiences were planned to take us to our destiny. They're very important.
Yes.
And so I thought that doing this memoir of my experiences and showing the connectivity, how it brought me to this present position where I have discovered my destiny and what, I am called for in this life, and to show that how unique that was. And so it can be a journey for each person out there. You can look at the experiences and let it teach you something, let it prune you, let it empower you, and eventually, the big picture will show. Yes.
That is such a powerful message, the interconnectivity of life. Because sometimes with, all the hullabaloo and up and down and, our busy schedule, sometimes we forget that, these things that we have to endure or go through, yes, you would not have planned this had you known, right, that this was coming. You wouldn't be like, send the bandit, let them rob me, right? Because we do have some bad experiences,
Certainly.
we don't want to negate that, the idea that, everything is for your good, so, you should embrace the good. You should embrace it, but we don't want bad experiences. We prefer to have really good ones. But, this life is, we never got promised only good things.
Correct. Nothing happens by chance.
Yeah.
I think that, for each person, whatever we experience, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, it's all there for a reason, a purpose.
Yes.
And we need to grow.
Yes.
If our experiences don't help us to grow, it means that they're in vain. And that's what I think so much I want to bring that sensitivity to people, that your experiences, value them. They are gold nuggets.
Yeah. Tell us about the reception that you have gotten from friends, family, the public, your readers, right, your fans of your book. What has been the reception for this book, 3 Ships Come Sailing Home?
That's a very good question, because I try to get feedback from, people who have purchased the book, and they all tell me, I experienced similar experiences like you growing up, and it's brought back those memories to me, and I see myself just like you, and for me, that touches me because I realize that, as a Caribbean woman, a Caribbean person, there are, similarities in our growing up, in our experiences.
Yes.
And sometimes, we forget about them, or it's in our subconscious mind, and we don't remember those, we don't reminisce about those good days, those good old days.
The good
and
old days.
I actually, when writing the book, it brought back smiles, sadness, happiness to me, especially, I have bridged so many different areas of technology, and from the slate and your pencil era, right up to your computer era,
Yes.
And so I've bridged different, decades of that. But it's, I'm going through all these experiences. It's only now I look back and I realize, why I had to experience all these different experiences, why the losses, the good points, everything. It has groomed me into discovering what my purpose here is on earth, my destiny.
There, as I keep saying, there is interwoven in this story, intertwined in the story, pieces of history or Caribbean history. And I am sure that even the persons who didn't grow up with you reading this book, right, a new reader coming to this book, depending on their age, of course, would have some very nostalgic moments reading your book.
Certainly.
You were born in 1959,
9, correct.
This is the year, ladies and gentlemen, this is the year right after the Federation of the West Indies was formed. This was a pivotal time for the Caribbean.
Certainly.
You know, and you being born at that time, I have to ask, I mean, yes, you were a child, sure, but in being born in Dominica, a space that is now trying to get away from that colonial, that place of colonialism. I see in your book where we mentioned Creole, the patois language, that Creole language, and how it was something that, you know, yes, you would hear it, but it wasn't something that people were encouraged.
It was the forbidden language.
Yes, and that's exactly what I thought. I said, ah, boy, that forbidden language again, you know, and you hear people talking about, oh, the Tobago patois, and oh, the Trinidad patois. And, you know, part of our decolonization is the acceptance of ourselves,
certainly,
of our language, and certainly of the way we speak, that intonation, right? What did you experience growing up in Dominica in terms of that theme of language? Was patois English? What was your experience in your family growing up in terms of the language?
In my family, my father spoke patois. He was very good at it, but he never spoke it in the house.
Really?
He spoke it among peers, you know, when he dealt with clients and whatnot, but not in the home, because he never wanted us to speak patois. It was always felt that speaking patois would encourage a person to speak broken English, because when you translate certain sentences, you end up with broken English.
Yes.
And
well, what they call broken English, because
Yes.
they want you to believe that patois is not valuable in itself.
Correct.
And it's not actually broken. It's a whole language.
It's a whole language, and
Yeah.
it's a very very effective communication language, because there are certain things that are expressed in patois that even if you said it in English, it carried a whole different
Yes.
understanding.
The warmth was lost.
Yes.
You know, this kind of way? The warmth was lost. I
And
totally understand.
it was sad that in those days that it was looked down on as, you know, a language you don't want your children to speak. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
because now it's been so much more, you know, brought to the table, and there are dictionaries, there are books on patois, you know, speaking patois.
Yeah.
And I wish I had learned patois. I mean, I
Yes.
know expressions and phrases, you know, but you had to obey your parents, and, you know, you weren't allowed to speak the patois.
Yes. This is a phenomenon that a lot of Caribbean people identify with in terms of, again, that forbidden language not being, you know, they want better for their children, and therefore we don't want you to sound like us. We don't want you to have our experiences. We want you to have something better. Right?
Correct.
And now we're learning that, you know, this is a language much like in, you know, if I dare bring up the Cold War, the Native American language, Navajo, was what they used as code so that the enemy wouldn't get them. You know, you lose that language, you lose quite a lot, you know. And many of us remember our parents. My mother would speak gibberish as soon as they would see it. She and her sisters would be there, mappa, papa, and we'd be like, what is saying?
Well, what's amazing too, because you know we have the Carib Reserve in Dominica.
Yes.
And they do speak a Carib language up to this day. You know, they've maintained that, you know, it's history, it's pristine, they've maintained it, and it's great, and that is absolutely wonderful, and we keep that history.
Yes, we need to.
And patois brings so much, you know, into our culture, our French culture in Dominica. So I feel that, you know, I missed out on being able to speak fluent Spanish, patois.
Yeah.
But there are certain expressions that I remember, and I just feel it's so much more expressive than English, you know. As I said, there was one expression that says, like, you know, if I wanted to say I had a difficulty getting a taxi, I would say, "Mwe kwaye pu taxi la." Now, if I told you "Mwe kwaye pu taxi la" as a Dominican,
Yes.
I have communicated to you, Jewel, the extent of my difficulty. If I told you the same thing in English, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Because when I say it in patois, you understand the extent of the difficulty. It brings a different perception to difficulty.
Yes.
You know?
When you first walked in, you said some words to me. I can't remember. What was it that you said to me?
I said to you, Sakafet.
Listen, get a glass. Sakafet.
Sakafet.
What does that mean?
It means how you doing.
How you doing, Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean?
Sakafet, Trinidad and Tobago.
We're going on a short break. How we doing? We doing good. Right? We're going to be sipping on some wine. I'm going to be talking to Christine as we go on another short break. We'll be back shortly, and we're going to be getting into some timelines. Those who are in the audience, viewing audience, do you remember the federal palm and
Yes,
the federal
federal
maple?
maple.
We'll be coming back to talk about those two ships. Out of the three, sailing home. See you in a
Cheers.
few. Welcome back, and I was just chatting here with our amazing author Christine Salandy about her book Three Ships Come Sailing Home, and we're happy to have you back to join this conversation, because let me tell you, it's going well sweet over here. You know, Christine, we were talking about, yes, born in Dominica, left at an early age to head to St. Kitts and Nevis, and at that time it was St. Kitts,
Nevis and Anguilla.
and Anguilla.
Trinity of Islands. It was called
The Trinity of Islands. Imagine
Yes.
that. And we thought we had it. We were the first ones with our Trinity Hills, right? No, we were not. Okay. And you left Dominica to go to St. Kitts and
St. Kitts.
Nevis and Anguilla. At that time, what was the reason why you all left Dominica, and how did you enjoy life in St.
St. Kitts. Certainly, because when I left as a baby. I was like 2 years old. So my memory of Dominica then was very, I mean, I was just a baby.
Non-existent,
Non-existent, right. So my parents offered contracts. My both parents were attorneys at law, and they offered contracts as magistrates in St. Kitts, Nevis and Anguilla.
Yeah.
And so they took the opportunity to fulfill those contracts with the governments of St. Kitts, Nevis and Anguilla. And so they decided to move to St. Kitts, Nevis and Anguilla based on the contracts. And when we arrived there, we were given government quarters, very nice in Portlands. And my parents, the magistrate's court was actually right near the convent school, so it was very convenient. Same
Yes.
road as of
Everything right in its
everything.
little
That
vicinity.
Pall Mall Square here, the magistrate's court was here, the convent was here, very, very
Yes.
uniquely,
Yeah.
positioned. And so starting school in convent prep in St. Kitts, it was wonderful. You made friends immediately. You sort of melted into the Kittitian lifestyle, and you almost felt like you were Kittitian because
Yes.
you left as a baby and here
Yeah.
you're growing up, and
This is your new home.
this is like your new home.
Yeah, it's your new home. You know,
and so you had no memories at all of Dominica. It was just growing up in St. Kitts.
Yeah.
And making a lot of friends. The lifestyle there is so much very much British, because they were last settled by the British, but yet
Yes.
they have that influence, very strong influence. So it's a beautiful little country, and the social life there is really, really good. It's lovely. And my parents really loved it. They made a lot of friends,
Yeah.
and they entered this social life there, and they loved it. Totally loved it.
When we talk about the Caribbean, the warmth of the islands, the warmth of the people, it's not a lie. It's no exaggeration. This is no joke. So, listen, Caribbean people are quite social. We love to hang out. We're quite warm and friendly. I don't know if
Certainly.
it's the weather that we experience, but I hear good things about people from St. Kitts, Nevis, and by extension Anguilla as well.
Yes.
When you moved to St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla, in the book you talk about some unrest that started brewing in Anguilla as they were trying to break away from the British, their colony, their masters, as we would say. But the colonizer, the last colonizer, they were breaking away from them. And in doing so, we see in the book, and even when I did extra research, because listen, when I started to get into this book and I started to read, I was like, wait, what is happening here? I have never heard about this. So there was this breaking away from the British in Anguilla. They wanted to be independent. They wanted sovereignty.
Certainly.
And when that was happening, we see that the ruling party, that's the Labour Party, and the opposition, which is the People's Action Movement, they were going different ways.
Certainly.
And this People's Action Movement, they were formed by plantocracy. This is a former plantocracy who got themselves together and formed this party.
Yes.
And they were in the opposition supporting Anguilla. Tell us about that period in your life, seeing the unrest starting to brew in neighboring Anguilla, feeling the heat of that fire burning in Anguilla.
It was very frightening.
And tell us about how you all had to live.
It was very frightening because, you know, when the opposition, the members of the opposition, they were put in jail and there was no reason given for putting them in jail.
And this would have been Billy Herbert.
Billy Herbert was the leader of the opposition and a very good friend of the family, very good family friend.
Yes.
And so my father decided to bail him out of jail, not as in his position, but as a friend, bail him out of jail. And that caused quite confrontation.
That was the beginning of
all the problems.
I tell you.
Because he had signed a contract with the government, they looked at it, well, you
He
really
betrayed
sided with the betrayal.
Yeah.
So then from
that should not have been.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But you know, those days politics was a different ball game. It's very much, you know. And from that, I mean, snowballed into all kinds of threats. And we were constantly, my father was always constantly put in the papers and all negativity. And, you know, then at that time, there were a lot of guns coming into St. Kitts. So there was a state of unrest. They declared it, a state of emergency. Law and order totally broke down. So anything was happening. People were running around with guns. We would be in our home and gunshots fired at our home. We had to duck under the bed to avoid being shot, you know. And
this is 1967.
Yes. And there was one time someone brought a gift of a chicken to the home, and the chicken died the same night. And when my father took it to the vet, it was loaded with poison. And things began to snowball into a lot of dangerous. It became very, very dangerous with the guns.
Listen, before you go any further, let me set the stage for our viewing public. Picture it, 1967, Cold War. Soviet Union, Russia, Cuba, they are supporting the Caribbean because a lot of the Caribbean islands were looking to become independent. This is where the Federation of the West-Indies really was supposed to be that thrust to help us get to independence for each island. And here we have the Cuba, Russia, you know, Cold War happening, and they are supporting the Caribbean. We're having unrest happening. Anguilla is brewing right now, wanting their independence.
Yes.
St. Kitts and Nevis, they're supporting them. The opposition is supporting them. The ruling party is wanting to go a different way, as, you know, the status quo goes between ruling party and opposition. And here we have the Von Trapp family.
I like how you put it, the Von Trapp.
The sound of music. That way. That's how I felt when I was reading the book. I was like, this feels like Sound of Music. Oh my God. Sound of Music. The Von Trapp family, they're outside the wall. They're, you know, pushing the car. It's in neutral, pushing it out. And here goes the enemy. Where are you going, Captain Von Trapp? Go.
Yes. It felt very much like that,
yes.
Joel, because when our parents made the decision that we need to get out, we need to escape, because this is coming too dangerous. Our lives are at risk right here. And so they decided we would, you know, leave the country. But it was difficult, we didn't want to tell have the word out there that we were leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So my sister's 16th birthday came up and decided to, because my parents had lots of friends, and so for the 16th birthday they decided, well, we'll have a party, invite the friends, and technically that's our farewell to everyone. They wouldn't know, but that's technically our farewell.
Yes.
But during the party, a phone call came in, and the person said, we know that you're trying to leave the country, and we make sure that you're all dead before you leave the country. So there was an imminent threat. And so my parents called one of their closest friends who had a house in the countryside, and plans were made to hide us from, to go into hiding, so that, we would experience this death.
Yes.
And so we went way up in the country. We were packed, during the party, we packed stuff, got into our vehicle. We were taken to this place in the country where we were incognito, hidden. And in the meantime, they made arrangements. They got able to contact my cousin, who was a captain of the Federal Maple. And Captain Tommy, and he made arrangements to come by, but stay 3 miles out in the ocean to get us out of St. Kitts. But to get to the boat, we had to go in a launch, like a small boat.
Yes.
To get to the big boat out there, the big liner out there.
Yeah.
And so in the dark of night, we were put in this launch and covered with blankets and taken 3 miles out.
How long did that take to get from where you all got into that launch to the boat?
It was like an eternity because you were so frightened
Yes.
that anything could happen between that point to the boat.
Listen, and you all are a musical family.
Yes.
You play the piano.
Yes, we played. My
Your
father
father
taught
was an
us,
accomplished
and my
pianist.
sister sang. My brother played the guitar. My brothers played the piano.
Von Trapp. This is your family Von Trapp. And you all use the birthday party as a decoy.
A decoy, yes,
Just
to
like
get
the
away.
music festival in Sound of Music. Oh my God.
But for me, it was sad because I couldn't tell my friends. I had so many friends at school. I couldn't tell them I was leaving. So it was a disruption in my life, to just be uprooted from St. Kitts that I loved. I loved my friends. I loved my school, and then
A mango season. Don't forget.
well, St. Kitts was known for sugar cane. We loved our sugar cane. Oh, we ate sugar cane all the time. They cultivated sugar cane. It was one of was called white gold.
Yes.
In St. Kitts. So we always had sugar cane in the house. And it was sweet sugar cane. It was lovely to eat sugar cane every day.
Is it anything like the sugar cane we have now?
Oh no! It was juicier. Because I cultivated it, and we had the climate for it.
Yes.
It was juicy to eat sugar cane.
I don't know what I would choose, sugar cane or mango, starch mango, Graham mango, Julie no, I think I have mango.
Well, when you were
I was getting on that Federal Maple.
I was getting on that. When you were in St. Kitts, sugar was it. You loved the sugar cane,
I can imagine.
But we are rooted and not knowing, it's like you're going into the dark, you're not knowing what your life is going to, where you're going, what is it going to meet, It's like going from the known into the unknown, so this is a journey.
And even worse, because it's not even by choice.
Correct. You were literally thrown into the situation.
You all had
to leave, by...
Well, at least, unlike the Von Trapp family, you all did not have to go through the mountains, right?
Went to the sea.
You all just got into that launch and then
yes.
onto the Federal Maple.
Yes.
Tell us about that Federal Maple. So you all, escaped under the cover of night, right?
Certainly, yes.
From St. Kitts, your social life, your friends, you were coming of age, knowing yourself, making memories, right? Your sister Marguerite's 16th birthday, cake and ice cream, having fun in the yard. And now you have to bundle up with whatever you can carry and get on this boat. Tell us about what this boat was, this Federal Maple and Federal Palm. What were they?
And they were very key boats in the Caribbean in those years because they were the connectivity of the Caribbean islands. So the Federal Maple and the Federal Palm, it plied journeys from Jamaica right up to Trinidad. It stopped at every island. And you had different segments in the boat. So you had the say the economic class, you had the fancy cabin class, you had the deck area where students, university students, used to avail of the deck area. It was the cheapest way of traveling and getting from one island to the other islands. And it was very good for university students to be able to travel. You know?
Because university students never have any money.
Right. And this
We always
allowed them to
counting
be
our
able
pennies.
to get to know the islands, to travel, vacation, you know. And so
This
the
sounds like the
boats were wonderful.
soca. This
It
sounds like the
was-
carnival soca boat they have going about up and down the islands
But
now.
see, this was a cruise liner. So it came with a certain class as opposed to an ordinary boat, like a cargo boat.
Yeah.
It was a cruise liner. So you had, you know, lovely dining areas where you had to come in nice formal dress to go to sit down in the dining area. And, you know, and whatever island that we stopped at, we got whatever culture, whatever dance or music from that island, you know, we were entertained by that.
Yes.
And then you got to go on the island and, you know, move around the island, meet people, taste the food, see the culture and everything. So that was wonderful. Those days were really, really, really wonderful. I mean, when I reminisce about those days, we don't have those boats again, you know, and it's sad.
I'm so jealous. This sounds like quite a, you know, quite a rich and unique way of experiencing other Caribbean islands.
Certainly.
And getting and making friends.
Certainly, it was. You know, that's how I got to learn the islands from going from on these boats from, you know, like Jamaica down to Trinidad, and stopping in each island. You learn the culture of the island. Each island is so unique in itself, you know.
Yes.
And it was amazing, you know. Even like when we eventually went back to live in Dominica, we went back on boat to get back to Dominica.
But where were you all heading when you left?
St. Kitts.
St. Kitts and Nevis.
We were heading to Trinidad and Tobago because my mother was from.
So wait, so this like a main road maxi. You had to stop everywhere.
Correct.
Wherever people press that bell, you're stopping and hanging out.
Every island, going all the way down to Trinidad.
It sounds fantastic.
So there was a benefit. I mean, though it took a while to get to Trinidad, but you know what? You get to know all the islands as you go along to Trinidad and Tobago. And so that journey from St. Kitts took us straight down to Trinidad and Tobago. And there my parents looked at opportunities for us in schools, opportunities for them in the legal profession. And though the opportunities in the legal profession were there, however, my parents, being staunch Catholic, wanted us to go to a convent. And when they approached the convent at the time, we had to actually wait till the new school year started before we could have entered the school, which was, my parents thought that was too long for us to wait at length of time to start school. We already missed so much school from St. Kitts, from the whole, you know, going into hiding in St. Kitts. And so they called the nuns in Dominica, since we are Dominicans, and the nuns in Dominica said, sure, you can bring them. We will take them right away. It's not a problem. So that made the decision of my parents. My girls can go to the convent in Dominica.
And start right away, as opposed to waiting for the September
new school year. Yes.
Listen, exciting. We're chatting with Christine Salandy. Her book, 3 Ships Come Sailing Home. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, she's going to be reading to us. We're going to be talking about Hurricane David. If you don't know what that is all about, get back here quick. You know, if you drink all your drink, go and get something else. If you ate all your snacks, go and get some. We'll be back in a few minutes to talk more about 3 Ships Come Sailing Home. Welcome back, viewers, Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean, and even in the diaspora, Dominica, Curacao and Trinidad and Tobago, where you are getting being broadcast the Ampere 102. Welcome back as we chat with Christine Salandy and her book, her debut memoir, Three Ships Come Sailing Home. Christine, when we went on break, we were chatting about Hurricane David, chatting about moving back. Tell us, when you got to Dominica, even though you were born in Dominica, you left as a small child with no memory of that island.
Correct.
And now moving to St. Kitts, having lived there, now moving back home, which is the birthplace of your father, right? So your father is
And my
Dominican.
birthplace as well.
Y'all shared something that nobody else in the family shared, because I think you told me everybody else was born in Trinidad and Tobago.
Correct, yes.
Your mother and the rest of your siblings. So you and your father were the only, well, your sister too,
Twin
right?
sister,
So
yes.
three of y'all. You, Carolyn, and this family is real special, boy. So you had two sets of twins.
Twins, yes. So
Michael and
Raphael, and there's Carolyn and Christine.
Carolyn and Christine, two sets of identical twins. They started the Parry and ended the Parry, right?
Twins, yes.
And then you all are now all moving back, except for your oldest sister, moving
Yes,
back now to Dominica, and a country and island steeped in Catholicism, and exactly what you are expecting. Tell me what your expectation was, and what did you meet?
So I was so excited, Jewel, when I was going back. I tried to wonder in my mind, what would Dominica look like? What am I going to meet?
Yes.
And that excitement, I couldn't sleep all night. I just couldn't not sleep. I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I remember getting up very early at dawn, when dawn was now breaking. And I went up on deck to have a look to see what I could see from out there. And lo and behold, against that beautiful dawn and the sky, I saw these gigantic mountains in their majesty. And that gripped me with, a sense of, wow.
Yes.
There was like an immediate connection, an immediate love. Wow, look at these majestic mountains. That feeling has stayed with me for my entire life. That feeling of majesty with these mountains,
And imagine this is your birthplace.
This is my birthplace.
So I wonder how much of that feeling had to do with the fact that you were born there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is your homeland.
Yes. So your parents keep saying, you're going to see your homeland. You're going to see your homeland.
Where you were born,
and you're excited. What am I going to meet? What are people like? How did they speak there? What are they like?
Yeah.
So you have that excitement.
What was the difference? In terms of St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, the Trinity of Islands, social life, up and down, social butterflies enjoying, and to Dominica, this country steeped in Catholicism, majestic mountains. What was the difference for you as a child?
As a child, the difference was in terms of the church, the Catholic influence, and family. The importance of family and family values.
Yes.
Because when I was a child, every Sunday was important to go to your grandparents' home, your godmother, your godfather. You had to. This was something I was instilling you. You must go and visit your godmothers after church on a Sunday, and your godfather and your grandparents and stuff. Then you realize, in terms of the steepness in the faith and the church, the family prayers. That became almost inculcated in us in terms of, this is life in Dominica now. It's very much church. The religious aspect was very, very strong in Dominica.
Very ritualized in terms of what's happening, when it's happening, how it's happening.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
It was very different. We had to now make new friends.
Yes, of
and
course.
go into a new school, and new the nuns there were Belgian nuns, so we were now under the Belgian nuns teaching us and whatnot, and so it was adjustment. It was just into the language, the patois. For me, I didn't understand anything at first. I couldn't understand the patois. I couldn't understand the accent, very strong French accent. I had to be able to maneuver with this new accent. how they speak and everything,
Yeah.
And
I feel as if, we're living your story as we're telling it. Guys, let me send the picture. In Tobago right now, in Scarborough, it's raining cats and dogs. We can hear the rain. Outside it's probably really dark. Now we're heading into Hurricane David, right? How long were you living in Dominica before Hurricane David happened? And this was in 1979, is it?
Yes,
So
certainly.
you were living in Dominica for how many years?
So we got into Dominica, when we got into Dominica it was 1968.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost 60, 70,
That's
78,
yeah,
what,
11 years, a
yes,
little more than a
11 years,
decade.
yes, before the hurricane hit.
And this was supposed to be your forever home now.
Correct. We
We're
had
not
settled
moving
in.
anymore.
We were when my father died in between those years.
Mhm.
Sadly, we lost him.
Yeah.
But my mom continued working with the government as a magistrate,
Mhm.
and so we were settled. We were settled in school,
Yeah.
and we had, when the hurricane struck, we had just finished high school, our A levels, and we're now entering the work world of the banking world.
Yeah.
And that same year is when the hurricane struck.
We're gonna get so, guys, girls, listen. Christine is going to be reading to us, I'm excited. I love when I am read to. We're going to be getting into this book. She's going to be reading for us about Hurricane David. But before we get there, let's set the stage. So the only radio station in Dominica isn't working
Correct.
since the night before.
Oh,
No
there are
radio,
no television
communication.
stations.
Exactly. So
the only radio station went off air from the night before.
so it's only stool pigeons now, right?
So there was no way to communicate to anyone
Exactly.
that.
So no warning.
No warning.
Nobody knew what was happening. The hurricane was set to go somewhere else. So there was some sort of feeling of relief, wondering how Barbados was going to fare.
Correct.
Christine, let me get my drink. Hit it.
Okay, certainly. So I'll start here. One morning, we woke up to a news flash that a hurricane named David was heading to Barbados with wind speeds of up to 190 miles an hour, the worst recorded in centuries. It was expected to hit Barbados at midnight. We shuddered to think of the imminent devastation of a relatively flat country. Poor Barbados were our unspoken thoughts. We went to bed and woke up to listen to the news, quite afraid to hear what fate befell that country. To our greatest shock, we heard that David had changed course during the night and was now headed straight for Dominica. According to the news on the radio station, it was expected to hit the island around 10 a.m. The Minister of Home Affairs advised everyone to stay indoors and keep calm as the hurricane was approaching. There was no time to stock up on grocery items and necessities. We were not disturbed initially, as we thought that we could weather this storm. Everything began happening quickly thereafter, and we could already hear the howling of the gale winds. We were all nervous as the water began seeping into the house. We walked briskly, checking all the doors and windows to ensure that they were tightly closed. The winds became stronger and fiercer. The noise got louder and louder. Then suddenly there was a crashing sound in the corridor. Paralyzed with shock, we saw the roof caving in and heard a shower of shattering glass. There was no time to salvage any of our belongings. In a moment of fear, we all thought of the possibility of trying to escape, but to where? How? It was a matter of life and death. We quickly dashed to the last room where the ceiling was partially on and huddled ourselves together, screaming, trembling, and soaking wet. We could see everything above us. The wind, in a white, spiraling mass, wrecked everything in its path. Galvanized sheets were flung around like paper, and huge cement trees uprooted like rose bushes. The winds now sounded like nutrient bombs, and we kept asking each other when this nightmare would end. The only thing we could do was pray for life, as the claws of death seemed to be closing in on us. One could not distinguish land, sea, and sky. It appeared as one gigantic white mass moving in a circular direction with the utmost force. In the midst of this mass was debris of every description. 10 o'clock in the morning appeared like 7 p.m. at night. It was an eerie sight that made one feel like it was the end of times, and we were clueless as to how long this would last. Around 2 o'clock, there was a lull of about 10 minutes. Thank God, we all quickly made a dash through broken glass, nails, and debris and headed for a small cellar adjacent to the garage. There we remained hungry and bitterly cold until the tail end of the hurricane, which was worse than the first part. In the rush to get to safety, I suddenly remembered our family cat, whose name was Frosty, and turned back to rescue him from the falling debris. I could not find Frosty and called out his name several times, but there was no response. I then tried to make my way through broken glass and debris and felt the piercing of a sharp object enter the sole of my foot. It was a rusty nail that had penetrated my foot, and I should have been buckling up in excruciating pain. But fear had its way of camouflaging pain as I made my way to the cellar to escape the jaws of death. It was around 5 o'clock and all around was dark. The winds had ceased, but the rain was still falling when we heard voices shouting, "Is anyone alive?" And we quickly responded. They were the voices of the policemen who were going to the various houses to rescue survivors. In the area where we lived, only one house withstood the winds, and most of the neighbors spent the night there. We all sat around in a circle, relating to each other our varying experiences. The owner of the house had a tin of corned beef, which he cooked with some rice. Everyone was grateful to receive a spoonful of this concoction, as we had not eaten since breakfast prior to the hurricane. No one slept as we were all gripped with fear and awaited the crack of dawn to see the extent of the damage done to our homes. The following day, the sun shone brightly as if nothing happened before. We all felt drained and tired. Slowly making our way back via tracks to what was left of our home, we saw the vegetation and terrain of the land completely change. There was no sign of greenery. The hillside and mountains looked burnt, stripped of all the majestic and beautiful trees. It was as if a massive fire had swept over the land, no doubt from that intense heat in the eye of the hurricane. It was grueling, very grueling.
Let me just put in a plug for the authorities. People, when they tell you, get prepared for hurricane season, go and buy your groceries, buy your 10 items, buy your water, get some plastic bags, right? Secure yourself when they tell you these things, because y'all had no warning. I mean, the radio station came back on in the morning, but
time,
so quickly.
But there was no time. When it came back on,
yeah,
the hurricane was already on us.
Oh my gosh.
So we had no time to do anything but just, try to save your life, basically.
People, please, don't let us be you, if anything. We hope never to experience a hurricane, right? Although as children...
Joel, I would say what's worse than actually experiencing a hurricane is surviving after.
Oh my God.
That is even more trying.
Get the book. Get this book. If you want to know how they survived, what happened, get 3 Ships Come Sailing Home by Christine Salandy. It's her debut memoir. Oh my gosh, Christine. So you all emerge out of the cellar.
Yes.
75% of the Dominican population is now homeless.
Correct.
It's 75% homeless.
Correct.
56 dead.
But we had about 300 dead in that hurricane.
This is after, so the death toll went up.
Yes, certainly.
To 300.
Yes.
My God.
And I remember, because we lived on the Mourne.
Christine, I have to stop you.
Sure.
Get the book. You want to know what else happened?
Yes.
We're going to leave you with that cliffhanger. Get the book. Find out what else happened in Dominica after Hurricane
How we survived.
How they survived. Oh my God. What a story, what a life. Family Von Trapp. Ran away from St. Kitts and Nevis, get to Dominica. Christine, before we have to close, I want you to tell us where can we get your book? We want to read your book. We want to know if you all survived this hurricane, how you all survived this hurricane, and
Certainly.
what happened.
Certainly.
Where can we get this
So
book?
in Tobago, it's at Shore Things
Yes, I love Shore Things.
store.
Yes.
And in Trinidad, it's at paper-based bookstore in St. Clair. So those are 2 areas. And it's also on Amazon. And of course, you could always contact me if you want, your personal copy.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the end of Book Club Corner today, we are heading into the green room where we give insights to authors and publishers about the publishing industry. Answer your burning questions in the green room about anything you had in mind. And we had a question come in. And the question we had come in was, what is the difference between self-published and traditional published? And if I wanted to be traditionally published, how do I go about that? And we're going to be answering that question, the difference between being self-published and being traditionally published, and how to become traditionally published. We're going on a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be answering that question, and we have some extra stuff for y'all. We're going on a quick break. Welcome back as we head into the green room where we have insights for authors and answer burning questions about the publishing industry. And the question today is, what is the difference between being self-published and traditionally published, and how can I become traditionally published? And the difference between self-publishing, just, simple as ever, simple as can be. Did I pay to be published, or did somebody pay me to be published? So if I paid a company to publish my book, that is called self-publishing. And if a company paid you to publish your book, that's called traditionally published, right? So if you're traditionally published, like J.K. Rowling's, Lovelace, they paid you to publish your book, as opposed to being self-published, where you would have given money to a company to publish your book. And how do you become traditionally published, right? So Christine, I want you to weigh in before we get into how. Tell us about, very briefly about your process about being self-published.
Certainly. So I was referred to this publishing company in New York called Dara Publishing with Rhea Rodney, and by a close colleague and friend of mine. And touching base with Rhea, I felt confident and comfortable because she was Trinidadian as well. And she also was a coach. So she coached me because this is my first book.
Yeah.
She served as a coach in terms of, publishing.
Yes, keeping you on the, that's guiding you from A to B to the end goal.
The steps I had to go through, and showing me how to go through these steps.
Yeah.
And also, I published through her company, so I had to pay her company for the book.
Right.
So I am self-published, yes,
exactly.
as you explained. Yes. And I also, with self-publishing, the royalties come back to you as well.
Yes.
So
that's the benefit of self-publishing. 100% of the rights to your book belong to you. You do not give away any rights, no percentage of the rights to a self-publishing company. And that's what you have to remember. So the way you become self-published, you would go to a company, you would vet them, do your research and pick one. But to become traditionally published, you would, one, either get an agent who would send out query letters, which is a book pitch. So a query letter is a document that would be pitching your book. What is a pitch? A pitch is telling somebody something good about your book, trying to get their interest piqued about your book. And that means that they would send this document to different publishing companies to see who is interested. Because based on the genre that your book would be, heading into, whether it's young adults, memoir, autobiography, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, different publishing houses have their specialty. And so therefore, your agent would now send out that query letter to different publishing houses, and that's how they would, they would see who is biting for your book, right? Who wants to bid. As opposed to, you can also send out your own query letters. When you read Jane Eyre, that's what she did, right?
Yes.
When we read about Jane Austen, they sent out their own query letters to different publishing houses. And that now gives you the opportunity to pitch your book to different entities to see who wants your book. So that's how you start the process, and based on their interest, now they will make an offer to you. And I would advise, if you're going the traditional publishing route, even if you're heading to self-publishing, please make sure you engage a competent lawyer, a contract lawyer, to make sure that you are covered and that your interests are being met, right? And then there's no conflict of interest with that lawyer. They're seeing about your interests alone, because you don't want to go into negotiation with a self-publisher or even a traditional publisher and not know what you should ask for, what's fair, what's good practice. You want to make sure you're covered, right? So that's the difference between being self-published, traditionally published, and an idea about how to get into it. We're going to talk to you next week in the green room about, well, you'll have to come back next week because we have some more information for you. And we want to thank our part sponsors of the green room. That's Mansa Enterprises, and that's a book and stationery store right here in Calder Hall in Tobago, a new bookstore that's making sure that they support locals. So they have a lot of Caribbean books, looking mainly to support even our local Tobago authors. So you get onto Mansa, pitch your book to them, and make sure that you market your book, because a bookstore is not your bookshelf at home. You must market it because it needs to sell. And we want to also thank our other part sponsor, Caribbean Book Marketing Hub. Thank you for sponsoring the segment, The Green Room and the Caribbean Book Marketing Hub. We do book launches, press releases, author PR, strategies for your book marketing, and coaching to keep you on that right track, get you the work that you want, whether it's speaking engagements, and also get you to understand that your book is a business. You have now become an authorpreneur. So get on to Caribbean Book Marketing Hub for your book marketing and ebook marketing services, as well as Mansa Enterprises. See what books they have, and authors, find out if there's space on their shelf for your book. We want to thank you. Christine, it was lovely having you here with us today. Such excitement. I feel like I was watching a movie.
It was absolutely a pleasure. I absolutely loved being here and reminiscing about different experiences.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Joel, for
You're welcome.
bringing me on your platform here. And I really, really, really appreciate this.
Listen, before we go, authorities, bring back federal maple and federal palm now, so we could go up and down the Caribbean, and don't charge us hella money to do it either, okay? Let it be cheaper than going Miami, okay? Just putting in a plug for all our travel bugs and wanderlust Caribbean diaspora people out there. It was a pleasure being here with you today. Thank you for tuning in with us on Book Club Corner right here in beautiful Scarborough. We were chatting today with Christine Salandy. Her book, 3 Ships Come Sailing Home. Get this book and find out how they survived Hurricane David in Dominica in 1979 and what happened to that family, that quote-unquote AKA Von Trapp family, right?
Yes.
What happened to that family as they had to, survive the hurricane, and who survived? I won't give away any more spoilers, right?
Good.
Or Easter eggs. Thank you for being here with us, and tune in next week when we have Portia Subran. She is the Commonwealth Short Story Caribbean Regional winner, and she's coming to chat with us about all her wins, all her writing efforts, and she is married to, I'm dropping some hints here, she's married to Kevin, who won a book prize for his book, The Hungry Ghost, recently. The family that writes together stays together, right? So we want to talk to Portia next week. Thank you for being here with us, and we look forward to meeting you next week on Book Club Corner.